You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
All right, we are on.
We're on. We're a little late. You are so late. I've been here for 20 minutes waiting for you.
It's literally flooding outside right now in like biblical proportions. Proportions, that was the word I was looking for. And
whoa, that's better. You sound a lot better now.
Thanks. I think my mic was off a second ago.
Now I sound.
But yeah, no, there's a flood going on here in Colorado, and traffic. It's like parking lots out there on I-70 and I-25.
They're
it's been terrible.
calling in the Coast Guard. We live in a landlocked state.
There's
they're
no
calling
coast.
in the Coast Guard to come rescue people
That's
because they're
interesting.
stranded.
That is interesting.
Amongst, I know that's insane, right?
So we are doing our Jenny Cush tribute show today. We were supposed to do it last week. We're going to do a little bit of news real quick, and then we're going to be getting Scott from Rare Dankness on to talk about his Jenny Cush strain. And
Yes.
Chris is calling him right now. So while he's getting him on the phone, some interesting news going on this week.
Lots of craziness going
with
on.
Reach Consultants. Please leave a message and
Couldn't get Scott just yet.
voicemail.
We're going to have to try him back. Maybe Sam can...
He is stranded right now.
He's stranded
He is
in
part
Boulder,
of
right?
he's part of the flood people that are getting stranded. So if we can't get a hold of him, it's probably because he's, sucking a lot of water out of his basement right now.
Well, so yeah, Sam's going to give him a quick text to see if he knows to get on the phone. He might not have recognized the number,
I'm
and
going
that's
to
why.
text him right now, yeah.
But in the meantime, as far as news of the weird, did you hear about the ship off of the coast of Italy?
No, what's going on in the coast of Italy?
So they were smugglers of hashish. You heard about this, Chris?
Are these the Mennonite smugglers, the Mexican Mennonites that I've heard about? Oh, that's a whole different
This
thing.
is a whole
Okay,
different
go
thing.
on.
So these smugglers are on this big ship, and I think the ship is called Gold Star, which that's going to be a strain at some point. You know it's going to be. They had 30 tons of hashish on the boat. And so Border Patrol or whatever it is in Italy were pulling them over, the military, I think it was. And rather than, really stupid of these guys, but rather than getting caught with it, which of course they were caught with it already, it was too late, they decided that they were going to burn the 30 tons of hashish. So you guys, anybody out there who's interested in the story, you should definitely YouTube and just do Italy and hashish, and it'll show up. And you saw plumes of smoke coming in, and it actually reached in, got to Italy. I forget what town it was, where it was just covered, like they were hovering hash smoke basically over the entire town.
That's funny.
So that's probably one of the best contact highs they've ever gotten there in Italy. But a crazy story. I just thought it was interesting. Actually, the Daily Show even covered it, I think, last night.
Oh, wow.
But it was, just one of those funny things. Just imagine 30 tons of hashish. And these have got to be the dumbest smugglers ever. 30 tons is a ridiculous amount of money when it comes to hash. But so they burnt it, and then like a few of them jumped off the ship. So they set the ship on fire, basically, jumped into the water, and they had nowhere to go. So the Coast Guard there picked them up, basically. So they were already screwed.
That's insane.
But one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Dumbest.
And what a waste of hash.
What a waste.
Yeah. Now, the other bit of the news that I find even more interesting and more pertinent to our industry is the banking situation.
It is definitely looking better for the entire industry, which is going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Actually, I just came from a dispensary that just had their banking shut down on Friday. And so all of their employee checks were bounced, like they just done payroll, all these employees, and they employ a lot of people, had their checks bouncing. It was not good,
Well, and it's a common theme for dispensaries where I deal with this on a regular basis when we're collecting from dispensaries where they're like, well, we just changed banks. They do like the bank shuffle where they keep changing their banks every few months. If they have, some of them have to do that, and they have to lie about what their business is, which is annoying when you're trying to run a legitimate business and then you have to lie about it just so you can get a bank account.
I just took a sip of the new cannabis energy drink, and it's really good. Actually.
It is actually really good.
David is making fun of the face I made, but it was a cute face.
Yeah, it was a cute face.
I was like, ooh, this is delicious.
And it is Sam's birthday today.
It is my birthday today.
Happy birthday, Sam. She's now 25 years young.
I am actually.
+1.
What?
+10.
Plus, fuck you. Plus, fuck you.
Well,
No, I actually, can I be honest about something, David?
no. Yes, go ahead.
It won't be my age that I'm honest about, but I actually really don't like my birthday.
Why?
I just don't. I feel it's like a really lonely time.
Really?
I do. I don't feel like enough love is heaped up upon me. What? Why are you looking at me like that? I really don't. I really just don't enjoy my birthday.
I think the idea of the whole, like, everybody has to give you love for the birthday, you didn't do anything. That should be your mother's. No. You didn't. All you did was get squeezed out of a vagina or get cut out and, like, taken out of a stomach.
I got cut out of a. Yes.
Yeah, as mine too. I mean, it was like, really, that should be the day your mom gets something. Because she's the one who put up with it.
Don't say that. She's listening right now.
I know.
And you're going to make things worse for me.
So, happy birthday to Sam's mom.
You know what? Fuck you. Just kidding, Mom. You did a lot.
So
she puts up with a lot.
We are doing a Jenny Cush tribute show. As soon as are we getting Scott on the line? Is that coming up?
I don't know. He's probably. Oh gosh. I texted him. I mean, he was supposed to be coming on, but I mean, this flood. I mean, you know how much rain we've gotten?
No, we've gotten a ridiculous amount of rain, and it's kind of put
of our rain average that we in 7 hours. So we average a year in this area about 15 inches a year, and we got 7 inches in 6 hours. That is insane.
It is insane. That's
half of your rain total for a year.
Look, I mean, if you guys are out there,
insane.
you don't want to be on the roads right now. Not that anybody can drive and listen to us really, but if you do have to go out. Definitely be careful.
We got 7 inches in 6 hours. That's what she said, Chris, over here. That is a good one. Nice
God.
one.
Well, here's the thing. I do want to say this. We're doing a tribute to Jenny Cush today.
Yes.
We want to
which is why we're keeping it dirty.
Which is why we're going to keep it dirty. Exactly. No, that's
dirty.
what I want to say. This is not one of those shows where we're going to like be all morose. I mean, no. I don't think Jenny would want it that way.
I'm going to make as many penis jokes as possible in honor of Jenny Cush.
Yes, we're just going to have fun with the show, and we're going to celebrate Jenny's life. We did put a post on Facebook today for any of Jenny's friends to please call in at 4:30. Well, we'll just start taking calls if we're not getting Scott on the line, and then we'll try to get him on the line soon, and we may actually get Jeremy on the line as well, which is amazing that he's willing for us to give him a call and have him speak in. I know
what they're doing. He and Pam have taken up the responsibility along with Paul and a lot of other really close friends to do the Jenny Cush Fund for her children.
Yes.
Which is amazing. It's on fundraiser.com, FUNDRAZR.
Chris is calling Jemmy right now, so we can hopefully get him on the line and we can talk more about that. But anybody who does want to call in, go to the number that's on the screen on iCannabisRadio.com, which if you're listening, you can see it. And we'd love to hear all of your fun Jenny stories. We just want to celebrate her life today. Yeah.
And in the meantime, we're just going to keep doing what we do, just talking about pot and penis and other
that's
things.
Not normally what we do, but
that's what I do.
That's what you do.
That's what I do.
I think he's on. Hello.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hey, Jeremy. How are you doing today?
Hanging in there, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
wait, does Jeremy know he's on the radio right now?
Yeah, he knows he's on the radio.
I'm just checking.
Yeah. I was listening right before, so I know where you guys are at.
Okay, good. So, could you please share with people about the fund for Jenny's kids, and obviously share as much as you feel comfortable with, as far as how everybody's doing and coping with this and getting through it all.
I'll do my best.
Okay.
Well, there's a couple of fundraisers out there, and but the main one is the one that's on fundraiser.com.
Which
whatever, and it's spelled differently, so don't look up fundraiser.com because it's like RAZOR or some shit.
It's FUNDRAZR.
Yep.
.com.
Yeah. And so I think we're almost up to $12,000. Our goal is $100,000.
Okay.
But really, it's obviously we'd like to get higher because when you break it down to 4 kids, that really doesn't seem like it's a ton of money, per kid.
Mm-hmm.
But it's our goal. It's my understanding that we're going to be putting it into a high interest
good.
fund, so that way, it'll be more than whatever it is when we put it in there and try to carry on that compassionate legacy, I guess, if you will.
No, absolutely. And I'm assuming this is what Jenny would have wanted to have happen if she could have said something.
Yeah, before all this, she had like her own little fundraiser going on WePay for trying to help her raise some money to get her off of probation so we could get her kids back out here.
Right.
Because, we were always afraid that if we had the kids out here and everything, she was stuck on a 5-year probation sentence for selling an eighth of weed to an undercover, or to a snitch. And so we were trying to get that taken care of before all this. So, fundraising like this isn't really a new thing. After we got her probation paid off, it was going to be our goal to try to keep the fund going to help other people that are on probation to get their fines and restitutions paid off for using a plant.
Right.
So this fundraiser now, it almost seems like Jenny started it. It's kind of weird.
Right.
Although I know she didn't.
Now, are you guys going to be able to take those funds and move them over into the new fundraiser?
I think so. I have to get access to that account, which isn't really a big deal. I just haven't. It's these last 2 weeks have been pretty weird.
Of course.
And, so, the goal is to be able to get it transferred from there to this, since clearly she's off of probation now.
Right.
At least physically. I don't know if the state is aware of that yet. I don't really know how that works. And in all honesty, I hope that they're kind of freaking out right now, trying to figure out where she is and what's going on. I hope that they waste a lot of time and resources trying to figure this kind of stuff out, because it certainly is a useless application of money. Probation is anyway. So,
well,
absolutely.
Especially for nonviolent casualties of the drug war, basically.
Well, and that's the whole thing. Given the situation, that happened here with being hit head on by a drunk driver. Not just a drunk driver, but an uninsured motorist, and she doesn't have a driver's license.
Oh, I didn't even know that part of it. Wow.
Yeah. So it's like, but really, the other two, it all comes down to, like, we can't attack substances, as much as I want to attack alcohol.
Sure.
That would just be stupid, because, it's the same thing as a gun. Put a glass of beer on the table and see what it does. It's not going to do anything.
Right.
It's people, it's people being irresponsible. And so, I don't know. My brain started wandering.
That's okay, man.
It's
That's
okay. It's
Totally
okay. I mean,
understandable.
you've obviously been through a really hard few weeks, and it's gonna, I won't be presumptuous enough to say like it's gonna get better. I'm sure it's always gonna be difficult, but you have the support of an amazing community behind you, and I think that's the one thing we have to focus on, is the fact that we all are in this fight together, which is to make sure that people have a safer option to exercise. And, at the end of the day, is alcohol worse than marijuana? I don't know. I guess my side of the debate would say yes. Yes, it is.
Well, I think it is, but I think what you said, Jeremy, totally hits it on point. It's about responsibility. Does alcohol cause somebody to be a little bit more irresponsible? I think so. In their usage of alcohol, but it does depend upon the person.
Yeah, and when you live when you function in a social culture that allows people to exercise that choice till 2 a.m. and not to allow them to have a safer option, I think that at the point, this is one of the things that we have to change.
Oh, we have somebody calling in. Oh, did we just lose him?
Tell him to call back.
Okay. Well, whoever was just calling in, please call back, and we'll get you back on. Yeah. So I don't know if you heard we were asking any friends of yours and Jenny's to call in and tell any positive stories about Jenny's life, and kind of want to try to keep it as upbeat as possible and kind of celebrate her life in the show.
Oh yeah, because we did the celebration of life event, not yesterday, Wednesday, but
right.
a week ago Wednesday at the Hood Lab, and that was amazing.
It really was amazing.
I've never seen so many men in tutus in my entire life. I'm serious, and it was amazing. But Dredd cannot pull it off. I'm sorry, Dredd, if you're listening. It just did not accentuate his hips in the right way. Tim, however, looked fabulous.
That's great. Yeah, it felt weird wearing a tutu and rainbow socks out in the public, although I had on glitter shorts and stuff, purple shirt, but that's no real big deal. We do that for a summer event called Apogea anyway. It's dressed as crazy as possible, so it was really weird for me to take something that was part of that world and bring it into the cannabis community world, because it's kind of all business and politics and cannabis community, and then in the fire spinner world, it's like love and peace, love, and costumes and whatever.
Yeah, I remember she was really big in it when we were at Bongathon. She kept talking about Apogea, comparing it to that, and I've never been, but she made me want to go so desperately because she made it sound so cool. I'm like, I need to get into this, So,
well, it's a place where you can go and freely love. I'm not like sexually, well, that too probably, but
you're like, well, there is that, yeah.
There's that,
right? But you don't go and shake somebody's hand. People look at you like you're a leopard. You hug somebody. It's just automatic. You just want to. It's kind of like being in the environment of the celebration of Jenny's life without being sad and just loving everybody like that all the time for that whole week. It was our separation from the real world for a whole week. It was like you get to step out of the hate and out of the capitalist mindset of me, mine, and you go up to this event where there's no money allowed, and it's just you share and you just love people, and it's an art fest, and it's amazing.
That's cool. Where is that held?
It was like, I don't know, Jenny was sort of an embodiment of that.
Right.
Anyway. Really weird that you can put all that into a person.
Sure. Well, and I thought you said something really amazing last Wednesday when you're just like, it's just you can't fit that much amazingness in one person and expect, that candle to keep burning for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I thought that was actually the most poignant statement I heard all day, and I was like, wow. And personally, as you know, I've had limited experience being able to hang out with you and Jenny, but the time I did get to hang out in Bongathon, I got to sit down and talk with her for a while. It was just super impactful, man. I mean, I was just like, wow, this is a really amazing human being. And, I was really looking forward to being able to spend more time, like, getting to know her.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's weird how life just hits you like that, though, but it I don't want to say it's good that things like this happen, because clearly it's not, but if you can look at it from an unbiased point of view, the striking down of one of our finest just helps that many more people embrace what they have in them the whole time and push further forward and harder forward, because that's kind of what we're all maybe here for in the first place, is to really just help each other evolve forward. And
right. And it seemed to me, like I said, just in that limited experience, because I saw her talking to multiple people at your campsite, and it seemed like that was very much what Jenny was about, was like helping everybody, including herself, evolve forward. Oh, yeah.
And she was sat out in that rain and hail, helping our friend Lunchbox guard his table and help him sell things or do whatever, even though that was our vacation.
Right.
She sat out in the hail, for God's sake, helping make sure that our buddy's table full of glass didn't get...
Oh, I remember we were actually getting ready to film with Mark.
Yep.
One of the winners.
Yeah.
And then we were sitting there, and all of a sudden, remember, we just saw Jenny dash across the entire middle of the Bongathon ring. And little Sam goes, there goes Jenny Kush! And there she was, this blonde hair streak just running through the entire thing like wind. She's running right to the glass table, just...
Yeah, and we didn't know at the time that that's what she was doing, actually.
Yeah, we just saw her running. And
yeah.
Now I'm like,
I wonder where Jenny's going. Okay.
She's just running. She was hauling ass is what she was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was her.
Yeah.
That was her.
And it was amazing to camp next to her. It really was.
It was.
You guys had the bitchinest campsite I've ever seen.
Well, and that was only half of what we built for Apogee.
I know. I remember you saying that.
I know, and she was very proud of that. She says, when I camp in style.
Yes.
She does not fuck around with camping, apparently. I'm like...
No, you guys definitely changed my opinion as to what it means to camp, and the possibilities of it. And
I know, right?
And I was definitely inspired by it, and we're like, okay, we got to do something big for the magazine
next year
campsite
has to be
next
huge.
year. Yeah.
We're going to have to, pimp it out.
We pretty much have to, because we saw the hail, and all I remember is sitting in on our couch in the middle of fucking South Park, next to a giant fire pit, watching people run around scrambling. All I could think of was, where's the rig? Let's get high.
Well, and you guys are like professional roadies when you set up that campsite, because, I mean, you guys pulled in, we left for a minute, we came back, and we're like, holy crap, this is like this gorgeous campsite up in what was an hour and a half, 2 hours or something like that?
Something like they do not fuck around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was only because it was dark out.
Right.
We could have got it set up much faster had it been light out. But we worked with, there's a haunted house, a local area haunted house called the Circus of Fear 3D.
Right.
That we've been a part of for the last 3.5 years. And 1 year for Apogea, I think 2 years ago, we brought up our haunt and set it up in the middle of the mountains. A little bit different than how it's evolved. It's evolved now into a 100-foot by 40-foot circus tent and all that. But we set it up in the mountains, and that was Jenny's first year up there. So she, was like, holy shit, this is what you guys do? Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, when we want to show off. And she was a face painter. She was a scarer. She did all kinds of crazy things. And it's like, welcome to your first year at Apogea. Where it was workagea, but, and I hate to just keep, pushing her up, but, she barely complained that whole time, and that was hell.
Yeah.
Trying to set up a haunted house in the middle of a forest on the side of a mountain.
Wow. And is that going to be going on again this year?
No, we're taking a year off of the haunted house so we can get a actual indoor location, because we set it up in different places in our circus tent to keep the realism, but it's getting hard.
I understand.
So, we're not going to this year, but we will be back next year. And now that, we've lost one of our own again, we're going to do something creepy zombie style with that, because that's what Jenny would want.
Zombie unicorns?
That's right. Zombie unicorns?
Zombie unicorns.
That's been already a thought, because she was super into both, and together as one single unit, she did a couple of paintings that she sent up to her kids of like a girl wearing a zombie unicorn hat, but it was like the head of, I don't know, it was a crazy picture.
She's an amazing artist. I mean, just insanely talented.
Yeah.
It was
I kept pushing her to paint more, and God damn it, now I wish that,
Now, I thought I had heard, Jeremy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I might have heard talk about people doing an art gallery in her honor.
I haven't heard much of that, but I haven't been, in communication with the outside world as much. I get on Facebook a little bit here and there, but it hurts to move a lot, so I just try to kind of lay down and stay still.
Right.
So
well, how's your physical recovery going, by the way, that you bring that up?
Well, the first day I got back from the hospital, when I was in the hospital, they had pumped me full of morphine and Dilaudid and all that other shit, which is awesome for the first 5 or 10 seconds.
Right.
And it's just stomach-wrenching miserable after that. But at least you're not so worried about your pain, because you're not hurting, but you're sick. And so when I got home, I took one Percocet, and that was it. Ever since then, it's been CBDs and cannabis pills, because as much pain as I'm constantly in, if I can't not entirely, but if I can't curb it or get it under control with the very medicine that we preach, then there's really no sense in it.
Right.
But I'm grateful that it helps as much as it does. And I knew that it did did before all this.
Right.
But now it's like, okay, I'm living proof that painkillers aren't always necessary. Now, I don't want to say that cannabis can completely replace that, but it has for me. I've taken a couple of Advil here and there when it was just excruciating. But goddamn, if CBDs aren't like a miracle type of thing.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
My ribs are smashed on the side where they're separated. The cartilage and the bones are separated.
Wow.
And so there's lots of rolling around, and it's hard to breathe.
I was just going to say, you must be having a hard time breathing.
Yeah. It doesn't make shit things any easier. My right hand is shattered, and I got a broken bone, well, a couple of broken bones in there, but those are the two most major issues, other than, like my lower spine hurts and my left knee hurts really bad. And then cuts and bruises and all that stupid shit, but it's utterly amazing to even think back at getting into a head-on collision, trapped in the middle of an HOV lane, and I got out. I got out of the car. I didn't have, like my shoe was still stuck in there, but to get out and walk away from a head-on collision that pretty much killed the other person in my car instantaneously is both amazing and horrific all at the same time.
Right.
But we're starting to get more answers. A police report might even be available soon.
Yeah, what is there an update with what's going on with that?
Like we keep, there's a chance that supposedly tonight I'm supposed to be able to get a hold of the lead detective and set up an appointment tomorrow to go look at the car, get my personal belongings out of the car, meet the insurance adjuster, all that stupid stuff. But at the same time, I'm supposed to be able to have a copy of the police report to find out what's going on. It's my understanding that they found out that she came from a bar and that she got on the HOV lane at 70th Avenue, because that's the only place where there's no gates, there's no nothing. It's my understanding that there's cones there.
Cross bridge.
But rest assured that I'm going to fight. I'm going to sue the state for, I want them to put the same retractable steel poles that they have at the Capitol building at the HOV lane. Because nobody's died at the damn Capitol, but the HOV lane, you're trapped by two giant cement walls. There's nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go. And that was one of my questions, because I was like, well, because I was under the assumption that every HOV lane had those retractable barriers.
Except at 70th Avenue.
Well, and that's insane to me. How do you...
Scott with...
that makes no sense that they would even have one of those lanes where you could actually access. So I absolutely agree. You should definitely be suing the state on that. And obviously, I would assume that any money you would get from that would go to her kid's fund, because that might be what would help her kids a lot. But it's a mess to me that would. It just seems so irresponsible of the state.
They just put a cone there.
Well,
they put a cone there.
I didn't really realize that. What's stupid is, we always take the HOV lane because it keeps you away from traffic. But when we left that concert, we drove past 20th and Blake there. It's always, funny to look at people because people are just, it's fun. It's funny to me.
Right, because you're cruising by them all, yeah.
But it's insane. It's like driving through a war zone of drunk people.
Mm-hmm.
So, you get through there, no big deal, it's all good, whatever. And that night, Jenny said, "Well, take the HOV lane; it's safer." And I can quote her on that.
Wow.
And it's God damn, it's insane.
Wow.
And so the other driver of the car drove all the way from 70th Avenue all the way down to.
About 38th, the Park Avenue 38th exit. So if you're driving southbound on I-25, say from Highway 36,
mm-hmm.
There are three, I think, two that I know of for sure, small emergency vehicle openings. And the impact happened right around the middle one, because when I spun out of that emergency opening and into oncoming traffic of southbound I-25.
Wow.
And so every time I drive by there, I think, well, had it been later or earlier, I would have been smashed into the cement divider. And, I mean, it's all speculation after that. But
Sure.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
But this is supposed to be a safe lane where you're trapped, so there's nowhere you can go. So the fact that it's a one-way road, two different ways. At two different times of the day. One way
exactly.
it's going this way,
Yeah.
another time it's going that way. And a drunk person doesn't know. There's no big signs in there that say you are going the wrong way. And what's weird is I know that there were people in front of me when I was in that HOV lane.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing them, and I remember all of a sudden there were headlights coming at me. And it's like, and then it only took a mere few moments for everything to be over with.
Right.
And, I don't know. It's hard enough to get back into a car,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't ever see riding in the HOV lanes again.
Sure.
That's the death trap, terrifying. Holy shit!
Right. Well, I always thought that was weird, honestly. This is the first time I've ever experienced, when I moved to Colorado, this HOV lane where it was, one way one time of the day and another way the other time of day. Usually there's just an extra lane, on a highway, like they have on, Santa Fe when you're going south on Santa Fe, where it's
And on
just
36,
and on 36, and they have the diamond, and it's just like, okay, you can drive in this lane if you have more than one passenger in your car, and if you don't, you can't.
And that's how they're going to do it for I-70. They're going to do that zip lane, which will be one way during certain times of the day and one way, or that's going through the mountains
Right.
for ski traffic. And then you have to wonder, what's going to happen when people are, I don't know.
Well, exactly. It just says we're trying to be cheap and lazy here.
Mm-hmm.
And economically viable, and we just hope that bad things don't happen. Well,
Right.
I hope that they saved enough money, because I know of at least one life that stupid HOV lane has claimed. But it's not the HOV lane's fault. It all comes back to where it's like, it just comes back down to people being irresponsible, and there isn't one of us that either isn't that irresponsible or hasn't been
Sure.
irresponsible, and that's where it's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's these situations, because who hasn't driven under the influence? It's silly, and that really puts the responsibility into all of our laps. It opened my eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and I was there.
But
For the opposite side
you have
of
to
it.
wonder at some point. She's obviously a repeat offender.
Was she a repeat offender?
Yeah, this is not her first
Yeah,
DUI.
My understanding, this is her third one.
Third.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know for sure from what I've read that it's at least her second, but other people have told me that it's her third. I don't know, but she definitely is a repeat offender. And what's scary is if everyone's going to get really huffy and puffy on this, and we got to throw the book at DUI offenders and blah, 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 what about the DUID bill that is passing? And if we get pulled over and they test our blood and we test at 13 or 15, but we can see straight, everything is fine, they have to be able to separate. We're trying to treat cannabis like alcohol when that was
not.
just a nice, clever wording ploy.
Mm-hmm.
When alcohol helps bring about, I don't know. It's hard to say things without blaming an inanimate object.
Well, I think that, when I used to work in the legislature, this is actually an issue we dealt with, which was DUI, not the DUID, but the DUI bills. And, and we were researching, I did actually some personal research as to which states had laws that were at least effective in preventing repeat offenses, in the in legal terms is called recidivism. And Ohio actually has a law in their books, which is if you get caught with a DUI in Ohio, they make you, no matter what the level is, you have to do a year of intensive therapy, and you have an ankle monitor like for a year. But that measures your like alcohol. It's one of those ones that can measure like the perspiration in your legs, and it can tell if you've had anything to drink. And their recidivism rate is only 5%, which to me at least it speaks to like, I mean, let's be honest here. It's not the driving that's the problem. It's the fact that somebody was a drunk behind the wheel. I mean, you're talking about somebody who 3 times now has erred, and at this point, it's not the car's fault. It's not the driving's fault. It's the fact that this person has a substance abuse problem and continually drinks and makes poor decisions about that drinking, And so, at least in Ohio, they're at least treating the problem, which is drinking, instead of treating the symptom, which is driving drunk. It's
Right.
If you punish someone, take their driver's license away, that doesn't cure the original problem, which is drinking. Like, obviously, this person was drunk and made really bad decisions, and I'm not saying that every person like who has a beer at lunch or something and then drives is should be subject to that, but I think clearly if you're drinking to the point where you get pulled over because you're swerving and being, you're showing poor driving judging skills, then maybe there's something, I don't know, maybe it's something like that. I think it's a really difficult problem to solve.
Well, but I do think there is an inherent difference between alcohol and marijuana when it comes to like making a judgment call. Alcohol is one of those things that makes you when you have enough of it, you actually think you can do things that you can't.
You're uninhibited and
Right.
or you just don't know what you're doing, because like I've said to people, man, I've been blackout drunk before, but I've never been blackout high ever in my entire life, to the point where
Right.
hours, like people were like, oh, remember you were doing all this stuff, and like all I remember is waking up. Like, really? I mean, that's a sign of like definitely overindulgence.
Right.
Of course, this all happened to college people. Definitely not last week.
But yeah, if you're too high to drive, you actually won't drive.
You won't.
I mean,
You will sit there
I know
and
I very rarely have ever
and
I
wait.
don't think I've ever met anybody who's like, yeah, I'm really way too high to drive, but let me get behind the wheel anyway.
It's rare.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
so rare. And like, trust me, I've tried to take the keys from drunk people, and they will refuse. And it's
Oh,
they're
yeah, you have to fight 'em.
And it's it's an ugly scenario. And the irony is, actually want to know something that's like disgustingly ironic about this is that if you were to like keep someone from driving and just take their keys and to lock them in a room or something, that's kidnapping. And like you have to, like, the police would come in and you would get in trouble.
You serious?
Yes, I am serious.
I've never heard that one
Yeah,
before.
you can't. You have to, like...
You could take their keys, though.
You can call them... No, what they would say is, like, you would give them their keys and, like... You could take their keys and hide them and just go, I don't know where your keys are, but if you were to physically restrain someone in a way, that's considered kidnapping. And so you can't do it. It's and so they would say... The police would say, well, you need to call us and let us take care of it. Like, and they really couldn't even do anything until the person physically got into their car with the keys. So, I mean, yeah, there's only a lot of... work we have to do on the legal side of this to...
Well, sure. Well, and there's a loss of logic on that. I know of
There's a
people,
huge loss of logic.
I know of people who have had stories where they've been like, okay, I was too drunk to drive and I knew it, but it was winter and I had no ride, so I put the car on, sat in the passenger seat to have the heat on while I could pass out and sober up or whatever, and they still got, charged with drunk driving.
Yeah. And maybe we just need like a better public transportation system.
Well, that's really the rub, I think, is
Yeah.
it comes down to public services because, you go to New York and there's not a lot of drunk driving going on in New York City because everyone takes public transportation and there's plenty of cabs. We just don't have that here.
We don't. We need to get better at it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Or maybe some kind of tax deduction, too, that you can take. Like, if you're taking a lot of public transportation, you should be able to get tax. I'm serious. I think you should get a tax write-off for it. I do. I think it should be a deductible. Like, if you're spending... Why not? I think it would encourage people to take public transportation.
It would. I don't know. That's a whole other conversation on the whole idea of utilizing taxation to
What?
pick your bat, like to move society into the realm that you want to put them in.
I'm just saying, like, people always complain. What's the number one reason that when people say they don't want to take a cab? Because they can't afford it.
Because they can't afford it.
Because they can't afford it. How do you solve that? It's a tax write-off. There you go. Now
No,
you can officially
I do
afford
like
it.
that idea. I
What
think it's a good
do
idea.
is I use my credit card and have my dad pay it.
Wow.
Well,
You
we don't know how
spoiled
dads who
little
are going to
bastard.
pay for our cabs, man.
Well, I gotta take a cab to get my red card renewed. What am I gonna do?
See, Sam, I knew you were sitting there, damn it.
You knew he was, right?
I love you, Jeremy.
I love you too, buddy.
No, baby Sam. Dude.
But what are you going to do, Sam? I'm sorry. Take a bus. Take,
No.
get
Oh,
on a,
no,
get
no,
on
no,
a
no, no, no,
bike.
No, 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 no. Have you
You
taken
know,
the bus?
that is
Take a bus.
that is an American white boy problem.
Sams don't take the bus.
I
It,
know.
actually.
it really is. You know,
Sam's against buses.
I
We're
can't
gonna-
take the bus.
Hey, Papa.
Fuck the
way.
bus.
Oh, well, I don't like the bus either, but I'm just saying that's an American white boy problem to say that.
It really
you know,
is.
It really is.
It's a white
I'll
people
take the
problem.
RTD.
What?
I'll take the RTD.
Ooh, wow.
That's fine.
They're slumming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jenny hated the bus.
See, the bus is gross.
The bus is gross. Don't get me wrong. The bus is totally gross. I agree. So,
I'll take the light rail until the day I die. I've taken the light rail many times drunk. In fact, lost my wallet twice on it because I was so drunk.
lost it or got it stolen.
Don't tell my parents.
No.
Oh, they're
Too
probably
late.
listening.
Don't
Too
tell your
late.
dad.
No, Dad, don't tell.
So we've been trying to kind of get Scott on the phone. Have you talked with Scott from Rare Dankness, Jeremy, about the development of the Jenny Kush strain?
A little bit, yeah. Not recently, but I brought it up to him, and I think it was Wednesday. I asked him if he would do it. I said, obviously, if you could make something that was purple and sweet and fruity and high in CBDs, and he's like, well, I'm already working on a couple of things. Like a CBD strain will have to be different because something for that too, and it's like, nice.
Oh, so there's going to be more than one strain then? Two.
Most likely, and it's also my understanding that when Jenny's Kush is released, that they're going to keep updating it every year to perfect it, and so.
Who gets to be, you're probably going to be the final judge when it's right. Am I correct? Like every year, do you think every year we should have Jeremy sit on a panel and then he just gets to try it and he'll go, needs more tange or something like that? Is that
It's definitely possible. I would think that Scott would probably include me in that a little bit because Jenny was, I don't want to say she was picky, but she had her favorites and her ones that she didn't like.
Now, it's my understanding that Jenny hadn't smoked in a long time, correct? Because of probation?
Correct. Yeah.
What was her favorite type of strain?
Well, before probation, one of her most favorites was Grape Ape, which is, when it's done right, is a really great strain.
Sure.
And after, can you get somebody who's no longer with us in trouble by saying things like
No.
I don't think so.
I think she would
so.
kick
And
your
I'm
ass
sure
if
the
you
ones
were-
that I'm sure anybody who's listening is not going to do anything to try to get her in trouble.
I'm sure not.
So,
But like after probation, her favorite strain became Tora Bora, which is super high in CBDs and helps alleviate the pain and still allows for a nice clean detox afterwards.
gotcha.
So every great now and then, whenever I had some Tora Bora, which as far as I know, it's only available out of a dispensary in Colorado Springs called Natural Mystic Caregivers.
They're very good. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about, and they've won an award for that strain before. I think.
Oh yeah. I mean, we've blasted hash for them a lot, and at Top Shelf Extract, and so that's how we knew about it. And so every great now and then we'd be able to acquire some. We'd at least buy some of the Tora Bora bud and run it ourselves.
Right.
And so whenever I had some, if Jenny was hurting, she would come out and be like, I need a dab. I can't. I'm stiff. And, you could see her walk out all locked up and everything. And she'd take a small dab of that and would loosen up, and the rest of her day would be good. And then she'd spend the next couple of days detoxing, so just in case if she had to pee in a cup. So before probation, it was like the rest of us every day. After
Right.
probation, she probably had 10 dabs total.
Right.
So it's, not the greatest way to end your life, but
Sure.
thanks to the system.
How are Jenny's kids doing, by the way?
I went up there for the funeral. I left on Sunday night, and the funeral was this past Monday. And completely opposite. of the celebration of life, by the way.
Sure.
And her kids, that was a unique one because they, it seemed like there's a little bit of denial, some acceptance, some shock, some I don't know. It's a new one. I don't really know how to explain it. I mean, they were stable. I got to hug them and tell them some stories and fun things like that. But it was pretty much me that was a wreck, because even though I was in the car with her when it happened, when I walked in the church and saw the coffin, I just lost it.
Sure.
Because not that it wasn't real, but like we've never been apart this long. I think today is day 13, and it's weird. It's really weird.
Sure.
And I don't know. I mean, people go through it all the time, so I don't want to say, oh, poor me, but
I think you have every right to be that way right now.
Well, and people keep telling me that, and I just.
Well, there's no right or wrong way to grieve.
No,
there's no
it's not
right
like
or
there's a
wrong
manual
way
or
to. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who would have looked at the celebration from last week and thought that was really bizarre, But I think at the end of the day, you have to live your life in a way that would make that person proud. And that's probably the most, I would say, perfect honor and perfect way to grieve is to say, like, if it would make them proud that you're sad, then great. If it would make them feel comforted that you were out there smoking joints on the Capitol step and, like, protesting, and then you do it, or if it makes them, like, whatever it is that you feel like you can honor that person, like, honor them, and and I think that's the best way to keep doing it. So don't ever apologize, Jeremy, for how you're grieving. I mean, that's just, don't ever apologize and do whatever you're going to do. No one's going to, I think, say that it's wrong or right. Just be you, And then what could be a more perfect way to honor her, right?
Well, that's all I know how to be. Anyway. So, pretty much, yeah.
Well, Jeremy, do you have if we have any listeners out there that didn't actually personally know Jenny, is there a story that you'd like to relay so they could kind of get to know her better?
What about how you guys met?
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, we met online on Facebook. She was going through some problems up in Montana with her husband, soon to be ex-husband, and I had gone through a lot of the same similar problems, but from different points of view. And so we were able to connect really well. And then she moved out here and did all her things and whatever. Every time we met, like, I don't know, we knew, and we tried to avoid it for months.
Oh, really?
And
just that energy?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean,
why'd you try to avoid it? Was it just like almost too scary how good it was?
Well, yeah, that, and because, like, I personally was trying to avoid it because it's like, when a person like that comes into your life, that everything that you are and everything that you do is about to change, or it's about to take on its second half. And so it's like, wait, is this what I want? Because I don't really know how to explain it without just saying it's just one of those things that we just both knew right away, and she was scared because she just got out of her relationship and was wanting to be free for a little while, and I've been divorced for 10 years at that point in time, and I had finally gotten used to being who I was and doing what it is that I did, and didn't want anybody else's opinion or any of that shit. And so every time we were around each other, it was just like a little fire would just start. And there was one day after several months where, and I don't really remember how it all went down. I just remember that she was on one side of her apartment door, and I had got there, and we had talked for a little bit, and then I was leaving, and it was that pivotal moment where I was sitting in my car, and it's like, okay, if I go back, to the door, we're not going to be able to deny this anymore. If I just leave now, I stand a chance at carrying on with whatever semblance of life I thought I had. And I just sat there and sat there and sat there and sat there, and finally I went back up to the door and knocked on the door, and she ripped the door open, and wow. It was literally like out of a movie. Part of it was probably out of a porn, but...
Oh, yes!
There we go.
That's what we're talking about.
That was Jenny. And so, you know, it was just different than anyone I've ever been with, or any feeling or anything that I've ever experienced. So you hear about it, you read about it, you know, and whatever, and we assume that, hey, there's somebody out there for each of us.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But goddamn if we weren't made for each other.
Right.
And so I'm grateful for several things. One, that I got to be with my other half for 3 years, like pretty much every day for 3 years. And on a more fucked up note, which I hope it's okay that I say that, that she got to, like, when we go, you know, nobody wants to go slow, nobody wants to go horrible, nobody wants to go alone. And that's a great fear for all of us. If any of us ever just sit down and thoroughly analyze everything that we've done in our lives, how we've survived some crazy things, whatever. But man's greatest illusion is knowing that we're mortal while living like we're immortal. And so Jenny got to die happy, fast, and not alone.
Right.
And for that, it's almost like, I don't want to say I'm jealous because I hate that word, but
Right.
like I'm envious.
Sure.
You know? And then I talked to her grandma up at the funeral, and she said that her whole family has a history of dying very fast and very peaceful. And it's like, well, and then she started telling me stories, and then it just became creepy.
Right.
And it's like, well, damn. So, you know, blessings to that.
Right.
Because, you know, it was pretty instantaneous for her. A little more torture, obviously, on my end, but...
Right.
But that, you know, for somebody that wonderful, I can't be more grateful.
Right.
You know.
Well, I think that's an amazing perspective to have on that. I really do.
That's the only perspective I can come up with that doesn't make me cry my brains out.
Right. I totally understand. You know, we haven't done, obviously we didn't do one commercial break for this show, and we actually have to get ready to close it out, Jeremy. So before I forget, I just first of all want to, you know, obviously extend my condolences. You know, I mean, iCannabis lost a really amazing part of our family. And, you know, we're all so incredibly sad about it, but we really just wanted to extend our appreciation, first of all, for you coming on and sharing with us, especially so soon. You know, I know it can't be easy, and it actually says a lot about you as a person, strength of character, that you're able to come on and communicate with us.
And again, we want to, I think the most important thing we can do is make sure those kids are taken care of.
Yeah.
So again, once again, it's a, you know, fundraiser, FUNDR,
FUNDRAZR.
Thank you. I can't spell in my head very well sometimes.
Yeah. So fundraiser.com. We'll say that one more time. FUNDRAZR. And can they just put in Jenny Cush on the on fundraiser?
Probably help for Jenny's 4 kids.
Okay.
And they should be able to find it that way.
And there
also,
go on. Sorry.
I was going to say, at the end of this month, I'm on Saturday, the 28th, at the Capitol. We'll be doing a rally from noon to 6. We've been doing rallies the last Saturday of every month for years and years, and Jenny just, you know, joined me as soon as she got out here. And they haven't been going on the last couple of months as strong, but obviously now there's a huge reason to do it again.
So,
This Saturday,
I just want
the
to
last Saturday.
the last Saturday of the month, the 28th,
Yeah, September 28th, from noon to 6, we'll be at the Capitol.
from noon to 6. Anything particular, or just continually protesting the?
It's going to be a continuation. It's going to be I don't know. It's going to sort of be come out and protest whatever it is that you think is wrong with the country, because that's what Jenny did.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm going to be out there with my I don't know. I want to do a don't drink and drive and be responsible, and I don't know. I mean, it's not like this is the first person to ever die from drinking and driving,
No.
and it's not. Nobody's really gotten a whole lot changed. So it's just if we can reach one or two people and maybe save somebody's life, we'll never know. And that's the joy of it, is never knowing that we saved somebody's life because they just didn't die.
Exactly.
But there is a couple days after that, September 30th, at nighttime at the Capitol, we're going to be doing a candlelight vigil because it'll be the 1 month anniversary. And her parents and family are coming down from Montana to see this, which I was blown away when I heard, because, we all got to see that last Wednesday, and it was amazing. But her parents, the only thing they got was that dreary funeral, which,
Sure.
That's terrible. I want my parents to go to something like what we went through for Jenny. For me, if that were to be the case, that's how your child should be remembered, is something that wonderful. So
Yeah, and see the impact that they made on people.
yeah, I mean, that's what I'm hoping. So there's going to be a candlelight vigil on, which I think is Monday night, September 30th at the Capitol. And
Okay. Now, is there a Facebook page they can go to, or an event page or anything, so people can keep up if they forget these dates and don't write them down right now?
Probably not yet.
Okay.
Something that I probably would have started, except that I get in and I type with my left hand, and
Sure.
it starts to hurt after a little bit, so I can only kind of type out so much. But
Sure.
there probably will be something sometime soon.
Great.
We'll make sure to broadcast it from iCannabis Radio. Oh, and one more thing. This
Yes.
one's kind of a cool thing. We're going to try to put together one last Sex Pot radio show, where it's, instead of having guests come into the studio and do whatever we used to have them do, I decided that for the final show, to kind of close it down, is we're going to open up the studio to let people come in, sit down, and talk for 2 minutes about Jenny, what she meant to her. As it's kind of a final tribute for the show, something that her kids could listen to, something that is just there. It's sort of like a video blog, where people who may not have been able to say goodbye or say what they really wanted to say to her could come out and do that, and then we could have a sort of a celebration, whatever. I don't know.
Get your unicorn on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
I think will probably be the last Tuesday of September.
Okay.
So not next Tuesday, but the following one.
Sure.
Is kind of, I think, where that one's going to go. So I just wanted to throw that out there too. So
That starts at 4, right, Jeremy?
Huh?
We're going to start that at 4, right?
Whenever. Whenever we think it's best, because I don't think 2 hours is going to cut it.
No. So I was thinking we start at 4 so we can have a little 420 thing for her. And then we'll probably still be on around 7, so we can
we
do
do like
thing
a-
for 7:10 for her too.
Can we close it out with everyone crammed in here, a little dance party?
That would be totally fine with me. Jenny, I know, would laugh her ass off.
Yeah. Everybody getting their twerk on?
So that means you got to bring a song to everybody to dance to, Jeremy.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
Jeremy, you'll like this. My friend just texted me from Chicago and said, this was a great show, but to get my bougie ass on a bus. But I'm going to tell you now, that will never happen. I just want you guys.
Now that you said that, you know it's going to happen. You never say never.
What? I'm never getting on a bus, ever. Ever.
Yeah,
In honor of
once you say
Jenny.
Never, you're screwed.
Exactly.
in
That's what I'm
honor-
saying, Jeremy.
in
Don't
honor-
ever say never.
In honor of Jenny Cush, I will never get on
Say,
a
I don't
a
plan
bus.
on ever getting on a bus, ever.
I
As soon as you say never, a bus is going to pull up.
will
You're
never
gonna need to get on the
intentionally take a bus. How's that?
There you go.
I was
You just-
forced to once.
You were
That's
forced
better.
by gunpoint.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have to wrap up the show, Jeremy. Any parting words you'd like to say?
Just stay safe out there and do. It's up to us to kind of do what we can to make sure that this doesn't happen to anybody else. No, you don't have to kidnap anybody, but next time you're out and about and you're hammered, your friend is hammered, just make a better choice, because the person's life that you save could just be somebody that you love more than anything in the whole world.
Absolutely.
Black guy's better than a dead friend.
What's that?
A black eye
A black eye is better than a dead friend. That's a good way to put
Oh,
it.
nice.
I'm fucking A right, man.
Yeah. Now we are going to be doing a tribute to Jenny in the next issue of the magazine, in the October issue, Jeremy. So obviously we're going to contact you about that.
Yeah, feel free.
Yeah,
Please.
absolutely. But like last week, we normally sign off with peace, love, and happiness. And in honor of Jenny, do you want to say it, Sam?
Say what?
What we signed off last week for?
I was out.
Oh,
remember?
that's right. You weren't here.
I wasn't here. I had I couldn't make it.
Oh, well, we signed off with a fuck yeah.
Oh, all right.
So is that fitting sign off, do you think, Jeremy?
That's totally fitting.
Excellent. Thanks again, Jeremy. We'll talk to you soon, brother. And
Right on.
Yeah, thanks.
and
for
you guys
being
are all
on,
welcome
and,
to join in on the sign off. So
and I cannot push that fundraiser enough, please. Like, even if it's like $2, I think.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
important.
yeah, absolutely.
Every
right.
little bit helps.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys can all join me in the sign off in honor of Jenny. So until next time, 1, 2, 3. Fuck yeah.